A couple of months ago, I set my mum up with a chess.com account and taught how to play the London system live on the channel. And since then, I'm pleasantly surprised that she's actually continued playing chess. So we've got some games of hers to analyse. Now, she's not played much on chess.com, so she's sort of finding a rating. And she has dropped off about 100 points. But we all do that when we first start out. So we're going to look at 5 games today, guys. And I've got a few points I really want to drill in for any beginners out there at this sort of rating range. Now, I did spend a bit of time, as I recall, guys. I think a lot of you will have seen the video where I actually taught my mum how to play the London, where you actually get the bishop out and then play this. So just a refresher for mum here, who played this move, blocking in the bishop. Yeah, just a refresher. So mum, the London's like this, where you come out. And then whatever they play, it's a system opening, which means you just play the similar sort of moves, regardless of what your opponent does. Knight always jumps here. And then, I don't know, this knight jumps to the center. We play this, we castle. So after this, that would be the full London setup. So that's what we're going for, Mum. And we don't mind trading off the dark square bishop. So if we get something like this, we don't mind trading that guy off because the light square bishop is so strong here. So this is how it should look. Our pieces are fairly active. Maybe we're looking at this break supported by the knight to open things up in the future. But as Mum played it, she'd forgotten the key idea of getting the bishop outside the pawn chain and blocks in the bishop, which does really hamper her development. Now, not professional, but grandmasters and stuff can play like this and block in a bishop, and they can resolve the position really elegantly with pawn breaks and stuff like that. But for beginners, we've got to try and get our pieces out and control the center, because it's just much harder to play. There's far fewer options when we block our pieces in. So this seems all right. Actually, the light square bishop is okay. They kick Mum's bishop back. She's okay here. Still annoyed about this bishop, but apart from that, so another thing Mum did, when the pawns were here and here, she didn't take. So she allowed them to clamp in on the center, which thus makes it awkward to develop the knight. So knight has to develop to an awkward square here. And then I think this is a misclick. So we're gonna let Mum off this game, guys. No mean comments, please, about my mum. So I think she meant to castle here. Again, this bishop, very sad. Maybe it would have been better to play bishop here, to allow this pawn to actually move, to either reinforce or fully break. We probably want to break to try and open the position up. Now, in this series, I might do this like once a week, catching up on my mum's games. If you enjoy this style, guys, it's not going to be like in-depth analysis of the position. It's more going to be like general advice for beginners. So takes, and Mum just straight up hangs a bishop. But Black doesn't realize the no-name noob up top doesn't realize. So Mum actually does this sort of counter-attacking idea, and then Mum actually wins a piece here. Black castles, and then this is not thematic, all right? When your king's here, you don't want to break in front of your king. You want to break somewhere else. Maybe a plan could be to like even move the king over and then start sending these pawns, or just tuck the king in here. Either way, the king sort of needs to move to connect the rooks. So, yeah, this pawn break, opening up the position towards your king, not good. They then push in on the knight. This knight maybe has a good jump here in the future. Maybe we could go for now. But actually, I don't mind this move, just bringing a rook. Black piles on the pressure. And then Mum doesn't care about this pressure here. Just starts sending the pawns, and after a check, yeah, this is a battery, Mum. This is defended, so that's just going to be a swift mate with the bishop covering the escape square for the king. So on to game number 2, guys. We get a game of the black pieces. So Mum was playing the Sicilian. Let's see what she's playing now. I say the Sicilian. She happened to move this pawn, and then it was just, you know, whatever. So this seems okay. Maybe this is like one of them sort of thing. No. This is bad. This is really, really bad. Just blocking in your everything. This can't move. Knight's restricted. Queen can't move. Therefore, king can't castle. Therefore, it's almost just losing on the spot at a beginner level. Now, again, maybe a grandmaster could somehow work the way out of this position, but I don't think I could. It's just bad. Now, white actually probably helps by capturing, because at least it removes that bishop, which was just plonked there awkwardly. Sorry, Mum, if any of this sounds rude. But yeah, hopefully it helps. So this move here, again, not to be rude, but this move is a waste of time. But I think it had a good purpose behind it, right? So I think Mum was worried about that. So this stops the queen coming in, but it is already like blocked by the knight. But I respect the thinking there. White breaks in the center here. Takes. And Mum doesn't take back. And big respect here. I think if Mum maybe saw this, if takes, there's this fork. Let me know in the comments, Mum, did you see that? Because that's some good depth there. I think she did, because she played this move here with the knight, avoiding that line. But now this pawn becomes very strong, and it provides an outpost square for the knight. And again, this bishop move early on has led to these pawns just being lodged in, and thus the queen being lodged in. So black is playing down a queen now. Yeah, and it is a very sad position. It's a little exchange there. So instead of taking the free piece, Mum decides to hang one of her own pieces. I guess some sort of equality. So here, white castles. Okay, black develops pressure on this pawn now. So takes. Nice. And takes again. Everything hanging. No, so Mum doesn't see that. Free piece. So to get to 1,000, guys, I just want to, if you could do one thing, it's just don't hang pieces, and if you see a hanging piece, take it. I know it sounds like simple, but and it's easier said than done, right? But yeah, if you can just focus on scanning, is there any free pieces in the position at this level, like, you'll do really well. So Mum again with a blindness for this pawn captures here. But also the opponent doesn't recognize this. So captures. That was a free bishop. Okay. And then white just hit the no-name noob hits Mum's rook. Rook slides over, but this is undefended. It's only defended by the queen. But at least Mum gets a rook out of it. Then breaks in the center, grabs a pawn, but that just hangs the queen. So yeah, problem hanging pieces, Mum. Just gotta try and scan for it. I know time's hard as well. Just you've only got 10 minutes, so it can be tough. But so this again is awful. It blocks the development of the bishop, blocks the queen. Sort of gives up really control of the center. You want to defend the center with a pawn, really. And here, white takes the center. This is something that happens against Mum quite a few times. So white fully takes the center, and it makes it really awkward to ever develop the pieces. Like, what's this knight and bishop doing here? Therefore, what's the rook doing? Yeah, this whole side of the board is just immobilized. Knight can, yeah, you can develop like this, but it's not great. But respect, Mum. I know The engine's not saying it's the best move. But at least she's, you know, you're trying to take some space, which is the right thing to be thinking about. So there's a little fork here. Mum defends. Nice. And now this pawn's going to try and crack things open. So Mum has to defend a bit awkwardly here. But kicks the knight. Takes back. Nice. So queen, a bit of pressure here. And the pawn threatening mate. So Mum just has to play this, stopping the mate. And she hits the queen. It's a common thing you see beginner players do, sort of short-sighted attacks on the enemy queen. But there's something more important than the queen, and that's the king. Sort of mate there. So 2 more games. Let's see how Mum fared in these ones. So again, to be fair, without this, she'd probably have won a few of these games. It's just so hard to develop when you're playing this move here. Yeah, almost like handicapping yourself a little bit. So, nice. Castled. We like that a lot. This is a nice outpost square as well. Queen gets hit. Slides back. Bishop hit. Hits the knight. Gives up a pawn, but it's not lost. I know black's better technically according to the engine, but you know, there's a lot of play here for both sides. Takes. Oh, and this game ended. I think Mum maybe resigned. Oh no. Okay. Don't give up, Mum. Keep fighting it out. At this level, I always say, just keep battling until the end. Anything can happen. There's a lot of mistakes. So here, we've got to defend this pawn, because it comes with check as well. So, like, this would be the best move, I think. Now, that is... Yeah, that's bad, because it loses the pawn, but also loses the rook. Black doesn't take the free rook. Instead, they trade queens, which is very helpful. Now, Mum, take with the bishop. Or the knight. Probably the bishop. Because knight can jump to this square. And then you can castle it. It saves you time in the future instead of like walking the king around. But maybe she's trying to activate her king into the endgame, maybe. So it's not bad. We've got a very playable position here. There's a check. King getting very advanced. So if we can trade some pieces now, this king will be dominant in the endgame. So Mum's rook come into the open file. Very nice. Good principle to have in the bank. Now, bishop takes knight, so Mum there not seeing that. Yeah, you should be seeing that, Mum. Come on. Like, that. But king slides over. Sometimes when you're in check, you get a bit scared and like, yeah, just sort of reflex move the king away, don't you? But yeah, so another check comes in now. King slides back. Pawn is lost. Rook is hit. So some pressure on this bishop now. Mum just takes it. Maybe not seeing that the knight was defending there. And then Mum breaking with this pawn here. So pressure here. More checks coming. Again, Mum. Yeah, this is a thing again. You're in check, so you sort of get scared. Just take the piece. Just scan. Scan, is there anything else you can do? So coming up, nice and aggressive with the king. And now attacking the weaknesses with the rook. I really like that. And it forces an error. You know, you put your rook on the open file, you create threats, and it leads to good things. Black hangs a rook. And then we just come back. Nice and easy. Defending the base of the pawn chain. That's a free rook. Again. Yeah, whenever Mum gets in a check, she sort of stresses out. But luckily, they hang the rook again. Just take it. Just take, and it'll be an easy win. Ah, but instead she gets forked. But this is still a win, is it? Down a few pawns here, so this is... Yeah, this is tricky now. Take. Got an isolated pawn in the center to target. Yeah, and your instinct should be come up with the king, not back. Up, and if they push, you know, you can take backwards. So Black king coming into the game. Don't know why my computer's been a bit laggy. They push, we push. And this is a very tactical endgame here. This could get very tricky. So white, yeah, this is not easy with 5 seconds left on the clock, and I think Mum's going to time out here. Yeah. This is very tricky. You've got to sort of bring the king to isolate the pawn, but their king's reinforcing it, and yeah, probably practically winning for black in most situations. So I know we didn't see Mum play her best chess there, but I genuinely think if she'd not played this move in like 3 of those 5 games, she would have had a couple of wins there. So that's my number 1 tip for you, Mum. You know, don't play this move. Get your bishops out. Just think about piece activity, and then yeah, don't stress out when you're in check as well. Just see if you can capture the piece. So yeah, that's my mum's progress. Yeah, chess improvement comes in waves, doesn't it? So she'll get better, guys. I might give her another lesson if you want to see her on the channel again. Let me know in the comments if you do want to see that. Like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Cheers.